Okay, hey, it's Vern, it's Jeff. We're back again. This is
Hello.
episode number 5. I think. Woo.
Oh, jeez.
Can you believe I hung with this guy for 5 episodes?
Can you believe they hung with us for 5 episodes?
I don't, but here we are. Today's a cool episode because we're going to talk about supplements that could be used to help alleviate some behavioral problems. And, you know, there's always a large number of things you can do to try to help each dog through an issue. And a lot of it is trial and error, but there's a lot of tools at your disposal, and a lot of people don't think about the supplement side of things, and it can be very helpful.
Absolutely.
I mean, Jeff, at his holistic pet shop, he sees this stuff all the time. He's able to treat dogs with some supplements that a lot of behaviorists and even veterinarians with prescription medication aren't able to have the same effect. So for me, this is very exciting because I don't know as much of this as I would like to, so Jeff here is going to take the reins and he's going to teach us all about these great supplements, which are a good thing to try because most of them have little or no side effects.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Unlike conventional pharmaceuticals, you have to worry about long-term effects on the internal organs and whatnot. And before I show you the first supplement, much like you've heard me say in the past, always check with your veterinarian when you are using supplements and natural alternatives. If your dog is currently on medication, make sure there's no contraindications, which means there's no contrary effects or competing effects of the supplements versus the conventional pharmaceuticals you may be using. And if you are using pharmaceuticals and you're considering taking your dog off of pharmaceuticals, again, check with your veterinarian. Many pharmaceuticals dogs have to be weaned off of. So you want to make sure that you take caution when doing this, and always consult someone like a holistic pet care practitioner or your veterinarian to make sure that you have guidance through the process.
Yeah, and I think everyone's going to be working together as a team. You know, your vet is going to have some knowledge, but it's going to be limited to what they know, and the holistic pet care professional is going to have knowledge different, and and your behaviorist, your dog trainer, is going to have some other knowledge, and they may not know about each other's area of expertise, but together we can experiment to see what works with you and your dog.
And that's why it's important, and Fern and I both believe the same thing, in that it's up to us as dog owners to take responsibility for our pets. And when you have multiple professionals that you're bouncing things off of and getting advice from, sometimes the dog owner is the person that has to take all this information, decipher it, maybe even share it with everyone, and come up with the best plan that's right for you and your dog.
And everybody's different. So what worked for Jeff and his dog may not work for me and my dog. So we gotta some of it is just maybe a little bit of experimentation. The thing I like about these supplements, it's a great place to start because there's no adverse side effects. So why not try it? And they're not going to be very costly like some medications. So it's a good place to start to see if maybe we can treat it this way before we have to go to some medications.
That's true. So I guess we'll jump right in, and some of the things we're going to be showing you, they may address issues like anxious or anxiety issues, barking issues, territorial issues, car rides, trips to the vet.
The top 10 of behavioral fun.
Yeah, thunderstorms, noise sensitivity. A lot of these supplements can address those behaviors. So without further ado, I'll pick one up and we'll start.
Let's get into it.
So first one I picked up is a calming treat, and this particular treat is it's a chew. So you give it to the dog as a treat, and it contains natural supplements in here. The primary ingredient is it's B vitamins, and B vitamins in general, they do help stimulate serotonin levels in the body. Serotonin, obviously it has calming effects on the body and obviously the mind and the nervous system. And this is just one of the things that's in here. There's also it's called the colostrum calming complex. Colostrum is like the mother's first milk. This complex it boosts the immune system, but it has a proprietary blend of colostrum in here. So when they say proprietary, they don't tell you all the herbs that are in here, but things like valerian, or it may have St. John's wort or kava kava, things along those lines. But the primary ingredient is the B vitamins that helps produce and stimulate serotonin levels, which does have calming effects. I like this one particularly because it's a treat. So you can give a couple of treats based on the recommended dosage and the weight and get the desired result. So if you're going to use something like this, if you know that an event is coming up, I recommend giving it, start a couple of days before the event is going to happen. It can be used reactively, but if you know that you're going on a trip to the vet, or it's Easter Sunday and people are coming over, these are some of the things that you can do. You do it ahead of time proactively to get it into the dog's system. Okay, and keep in mind, these supplements, they don't make your dog loopy or anything like that. It's not going to make your dog the lazy, sack of you-know-what sitting on the couch.
As some medications will.
As some will. It's just going to take the edge off, and it's certainly not a replacement for a behavior modification protocol if that's what your dog needs.
Yeah, none of these things that we're talking about is going to be like a light switch, and you're just going to see, wow, they eat the treat, wow, they're totally different. No, you're looking for these little tiny... you're trying to take the edge off, basically. So you're looking for these tiny improvements, and some of this stuff takes a little while to get absorbed by the body. So just made a very good point of don't try to do it the second you need it. You're going to try to do it a little bit before, and you're looking for like I say, not this monumental change in your dog. It's just a little bit improvement maybe, and this in combination with some other things, maybe some management with the issue. You could probably see, make your dog at least a little more comfortable in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, and something like this, if used with a behavior modification protocol, it may take the edge off just enough so you can make a connection with your dog. And you want to talk a little bit about when dogs are in the arousal state, how hard it is sometimes to get them out of that arousal state to even begin a modification program.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. Whenever we're working with dogs, you have to find that sweet spot where they're not totally freaking out, but you're close enough to whatever the stimulus is, or whatever's making the dog uncomfortable, or at a high enough intensity where the dog is slightly reactive. And you're trying to find that spot, because if you go too far, nothing is getting accomplished. But if, so once you're finding that spot where, okay, something like this can push that threshold a little bit closer and make them a little bit more willing to open to new training and new ideas in a situation that normally just makes them shut down.
Great point. Thank you, sir.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, so we'll go to the next supplement. This next supplement is called Happy Traveler. Okay, this is by a company called Arc Naturals. Again, it's another natural supplement. One of the ingredients in here is chamomile. I know a lot of people will drink chamomile tea for their, take a nap.
So sleepy.
There we go, having fun at their expense.
Yes, that's the way my life goes.
Chamomile, for most mammals, does have antispasmodic effects on the body and anti-anxiety properties to it. So again, it does take that edge off, and it can help present an opportunity to integrate a behavior modification protocol just by taking that edge off, similar to the calming treats. This one comes in capsule form, so if your dog isn't crazy about getting pilled or taking pills, you could open the capsule up, sprinkle it over a little wet food or whatever you're feeding. That's a good way to get it into the body as well. So, again, another good supplement. And, any of these supplements, like Fern said, they don't really have, long-lasting side effects. And again, if your dog is extremely anxious, you really should consider some kind of behavior modification protocol to complement these things, because it may help a little bit, but again, like Fern said, it gives you that opportunity and that window to work with the dog.
Yeah, too many people are looking for a magic pill that's going to change everything. There's no substitution for putting some time and working with your dog. So this is just a tool to maybe help accomplish that goal. But this, and I find also if you just use prescription medication without behavior modification to actively address these issues, I don't think you're going to see a lot of, long-lasting effects. So we want to use this as something just to kind of grease the wheels so we can help our dogs.
Yep. And another ingredient in here is tryptophan. I think all you turkey eaters on Thanksgiving know a little bit about tryptophan.
Nice.
Now, I personally believe that we get tired after Thanksgiving because we pig out so much.
It's an event.
But again, the tryptophan does play a role in, that sluggish, yawny feeling you get after a nice big Thanksgiving Day meal. So
it's
again,
all about relaxation.
Yeah, exactly. Just another ingredient in here that helps take the edge off.
And you notice a lot of the stuff that Jeff's talking about. It's the same stuff. It works for us the same way. So these same properties are working the same in our dogs as they. And I point over there because Haley's sitting right there. My dog. You can't see that, so it doesn't make much sense.
She's actually sunbathing right now. It's really
she
cute.
looks. I mean, she looks like she took a big healthy dose of tryptophan right now. But it's the same type of stuff for both of us. So these natural supplements, we know there are no side effects because we use them daily, all the time.
I think my wife doses me every once in a while too. I'm not too sure.
That's a great idea. We're gonna experiment. I'm gonna up his tryptophan like crazy, and we're gonna see what happens in the next episode.
I'm certainly not going to mow the lawn. That's for sure. Okay, next up, let's see. These are really nice supplements by Homeopet. They have a whole series of supplements that they're drops and you put in the dog's mouth orally. You could probably put it in the drinking water as well, but it's best to just put it right in the mouth orally. And they have a whole slew of supplements for thunderstorm sensitivity, sensitivity to car rides and trips to the vet's office and all. And again, they have. I'll flip it over. They have all the abbreviated herbs in here, and I started writing them out and listing them, and I was going to talk about them. And I remember a few episodes ago, Fern made a comment on, if you guys just lost what Jeff was saying. So I stopped. I said, you know what? Let's just show them what it is, and the fact that it's natural.
I appreciate that personally.
So again, it's just another way to get some natural calming supplements into the dog's body for a variety of ailments. And the Homeopet line, like I said, it has a whole series of supplements and herbs for specific issues like car rides and trips to the vet.
And something like anxiety. Let's take thunderstorms for an example. I mean, to do behavior modification for a thunderstorm is near impossible because I can't predict when they're coming. I can't recreate it, and there's barometric pressure. There's so much stuff going on there that it's almost impossible to effectively treat a thunderstorm phobia once it's instilled. So it's all about management. So doing this stuff is probably going to have a better effect than anything we can do behaviorally, just because we can't recreate the situation and do a lot of proactive steps to counter conditioning.
And there is a supplement out there which I actually forgot to bring, and it can be used reactively, and it's by Bach Flower Essence Company, and it's called Rescue Remedy.
That's a good company. They got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff. There's 38 flower essences in all. They primarily use 28 flowers for dogs, but the Rescue Remedy is a combination of 5 different flower essences that can help in reactive situations. Once, if the dog's already at an arousal state, you can spray it in the mouth, and you can use it in a reactive state. And
that's good to know.
Rescue Remedy can also be used proactively, ongoing, where you can squirt it in the mouth. You can even squirt it underneath the thighs. There's pulse points underneath the thighs of dogs, and you can spray it on pulse points, and it's absorbed into the body that way as well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, and I apologize I didn't bring it, but you can probably Google it or look it up. It's called Rescue Remedy. It's a very good supplement. We humans take it all the time. So
yeah, I think that's one of the more common ones you'll find in a lot of pet shops. A lot of these things you're not going to find in your big super pet store, and you have to find your local holistic pet shop, like this guy here, because he's going to have this available. Not only is he going to have it available, but he's going to have the expertise to share exactly how to work it, how to what the treatment is. Where I think a lot of these big pet chain stores, they don't have the salespeople that are really experts in that field. So find your local pet care professional, and that's where you're going to find all this stuff and get a lot of good advice along with it.
And I did want to mention one thing, because I was talking about the Homeopet product and trips to the vet's office. If you think about the trips to the vet's office, it's rarely for a good reason. And I always tell my clients, your very first trip to the vet's office should be to go there and do a training session with your puppy and nothing else. A nice little positive training session, even if you have a puppy or an older dog, your first trip to the vet's office. And most veterinarians, I'm sure, would oblige and say, you're more than welcome to come by with your pup, and just ask them. I only need like 5 minutes. I just want to make sure that there's a positive association to the vet's office. That's one of the best ways to proactively ensure that there's no anxiety going to the vet.
Yeah, one of the things that what I usually recommend is, when you go to the vet, you bring a treat that your dog never gets. So maybe it's grilled steak or grilled chicken. They never get that except at the vet. Wow, the vet becomes a pretty cool place, because the vet is like a big house of steak. And all of a sudden, here comes that door. Oh my God, I just equate that door with steaks. That's the only place I get it. This is awesome. So like above average reward just for going into the vet's office, for opening the door, and just make that great. Like you said, a positive association right out of the gate.
Yeah. Same thing with car rides. I mean, if your dog doesn't have anxiety, the first car ride shouldn't be to the vet, or it shouldn't be somewhere where there's a potential to have a negative effect or a negative scenario. So, taking car rides is just a good proactive way to modify or prevent misbehavior.
Joyrides.
Yeah, joyrides, And if your dog likes sticking his head out the window, they make these cool little dog goggles. I think they're called doggles.
Yeah.
If they, you want to make him look real cool, sticking his head out the window.
He wears it too when he sticks his head out the window. I've seen it.
Yeah, so. All right, next up. We have, this is a company called, it's Comfort Zone. You may have heard the Comfort Zone or the Feel Away. And if anyone knows Glade plugins, that's basically what this is. It's a plug-in type of device that plugs into your outlet. You put the reservoir into the device, and it emits scent pheromones that have calming effects to the dog. They have them for cats as well. But dogs obviously are very scent sensitive. So these pheromones are emitted, and it helps alleviate anxiety. So.
Yeah, really cool for a dog, like you said, like a dog whose main scent or sense is their sense of smell.
Yep.
So you tap into that, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and this is nice too because you plug it in, and you don't have to give the treats, you don't have to open the capsules, So you plug it in, and again it emits the pheromones, and there's very little involvement on your part other than making sure the reservoir is always full. So, and if you are having issues in the house, these pheromones are being emitted, like Fern said earlier. Might give you that window of opportunity to do some behavior modification. So,
good stuff.
Another good one. And this is another supplement. It's this is similar also. This contains valerian root, and this happens to be a paste that you kind of shoot into the dog's mouth, and has a little dosage thing here. You turn it and administer based on weight. And again, it's natural supplements in here, natural herbs. This one contains valerian root. Again, many of you may have heard about valerian root and its effects on the body and its calming effects. And basically what it does is there's these little tiny neurotransmitters in our bodies that are triggered by whether it's the adrenal gland or other glands in our body, and they potentially impact the nervous system in a negative way. If you get frightened or startled, okay, these little neurotransmitters are going in. It's almost like they're sticking pins in you. So
a little voodoo doll.
Yeah. So it kind of gives that effect to the body, and it can cause anxiety. So what valerian root does, it counters those effects. Okay, and it's really a nice supplement because it's very easy to administer, and the taste is pretty benign as far as the dog's concerned. And if you're having a hard time pilling the dog, or he won't eat the capsules, you could just kind of squirt this in the side of his mouth, and he has no choice but to.
Now you can see there's a lot of different delivery formats, so you got to figure out what works best for you and your dog. So if you're having trouble getting your dog to eat a pill, try liquid. There's a lot of almost all these come in a variety of different formulas to deliver them to your dog. So it may take some experimentation to see what works best for you and your pooch.
Good point.
All right, what's up next?
Okay, next up, and this is essential oil. I'm sure many of you have heard of essential oils, or whether you go to massage therapy or if you go to do any relaxation exercises,
I could use one.
Some people burn oils, some people use incense. This is peppermint oil. I use peppermint oil, I use lavender oil, there's eucalyptus oil. There's a lot of oils that can be used for their calming effects via the senses again, the nose, the scent of smell. So this one you can use, you can dab it, you can burn it a little bit. What I like to do with these is I like to take the dog's collar off, and it doesn't matter if it's leather or nylon. Take the dog's collar off, and I just kind of go along the collar. And
That's an awesome idea.
I dab it on the collar. I allow for it to dry because it is essential oils, and some dogs may be sensitive to the oil on their skin. So just allow it to dry. It will maintain the aroma. Once it's dry, put it back on the dog.
Oh, cool.
And it's right here. So it emits all the senses, the scent of the oils right up to the dog's nose. And again, it has that, just like the pheromones in the Comfort Zone. It's a nice little way to offer another tool to hopefully boop.
Yeah, when I used to be a personal trainer and nutritionist before I started working with dogs, and I can remember having a client who had really bad migraine headaches, and she would just take some peppermint oil and just dab it on her skin here, and it would help alleviate some of those headaches.
Yeah.
So we've been using peppermint oil and all essential oils for pretty much from the beginning of time.
Long time.
And they are they're very useful.
Yeah. And you could probably administer it that way on dogs too. I would just recommend you dilute it in some water, just to, again, because some dogs are very sensitive to the oils on their skin. But, hey, if some of you are putting Frontline and that kind of stuff on it, certainly
it's going to be nothing.
It's going to be nothing. But diluting it is fine. You'll still smell the aroma of the oil, and it's a great way if you want to, put it behind their ears or something. It would certainly be effective that way as well. So
Cool deal.
another good one. Okay, and as we talk about natural supplements and calming effect, all the actions that you can take, we mentioned a few here. Don't rule out what your dog is capable of as far as, and we talked about socialization in the last episode? Yeah, last episode. So, if your dog's not used to a situation, we can always revisit that socialization, complementing this therapy or in advance of this,
Yeah, I mean, it's again, you're doing things in conjunction with one another to try to get the desired effect. And there is no, like I said, there's no magic pill. None of this stuff is going to change everything. Even with just doing behavior modification, it's not going to help. But these things used together, can really, speed up our performance and the results that we get out of our dogs.
The wonderful thing about this is cost. Okay, we don't really talk much about cost when we're reviewing things, but think about what the pharmaceuticals are costing that may or may not be working on your pet. You have the vet visit, they charge you for that. They charge you for, if you have to sign your name, they might charge you $5, but no, I'm kidding. But you have the vet visit, you have any kind of exam that is done, then you have the pharmaceuticals. It could be pricey.
I mean, you walk in the door, you're dropping at least $100.
At least. So, I mean, I'll look again, okay? This is the treat, $9, okay? Happy Traveler, $12, and what is this? This is a 30 capsule pill. Will you need more than that? I don't know, but pretty inexpensive. The anxiety relief, $15. Okay, I think the most expensive one is the Comfort Zone. I think when you buy the combination of the plug-in and the reservoir, it costs about $56. I think, which sounds like a lot, but think about how long a Glade plug-in lasts.
Yeah.
It's going to last a while, and there's no involvement on your part other than plugging it into the wall.
Yeah.
So if you look at the cost of this and the effects that it can have on your pet, you keep it, because let's face it, we're all consumers, and in today's day and age, we sometimes have to be a little careful with our dollar. So
more than a little.
Well, you have twins, so
I don't even want to talk about it. My head's gonna explode. I want to talk numbers.
So it is important to consider that for your budget and your situation, this might be a really good alternative to expensive veterinary visits. Again, that may or may not work.
And also, my dog Haley is a super sensitive to a lot of these things, and she's had a lot of not to these things, but to like medications and prescription drugs, and she's had a lot of adverse reactions to them. So not only am I paying a lot of money, but she's reacting miserably to them, and a lot of times the reaction she has to these medications are worse than what I'm trying to treat her for. So for her, since she's so sensitive, I try to give her absolutely no medication unless it's absolutely necessary, because she tends to have all these reactions. But this stuff she doesn't have any reactions to, and it's also a good, like I say, it's a good place to start, because I don't want any of those side effects if I don't need them.
Yeah, especially if you have a young dog, and you want to be careful of long-term effects on the internal organs.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need medication, and listen to your vet when he says you really need this. But for stuff, especially for a lot of this anxiety stuff, there is no pill. He can't even give you a pill that's going to fix that. He's going to give you something to take the edge off, which is going to maybe have some side effects. And what I find, it just makes your dog very sleepy. So this is not going to really change your dog's behavior, but it's going to take the edge off so that you can able to push the envelope and help them a little bit more.
Right. And I guess the other side of the equation of long-term effects is, let's say you have a 13-year-old Labrador or a 13-year-old large breed animal, and pharmaceuticals are going to help maintain that dog's quality of life. Are you really concerned that 3 years down the road his liver or kidneys might be impacted? Probably not, because at 13 years old for a large breed animal, the dog's closer to the end than he is the beginning. So if pharmaceuticals are going to improve the quality of life then for that dog, that's okay.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there. I've done it. I've done pharmaceutical therapies on geriatric dogs that were at the end of their lives, and their quality of life is very important in my opinion. And so just keep that in mind. So we went over a few different supplements, and if I took a bunch off my shelf, there's still a bunch more, and there's probably hundreds of others that I'm not even aware of, and they all contain very similar things, whether it's valerian root or St. John's wort, kava kava, the oils, the pheromones. There's so many different things out there. Go to your local independent pet store, find out what's right for you, and good luck with all your behaviors, and don't ever underestimate the value of proactive approach to behavioral issues.
Yeah, if you just wait for something to change, I got news for you. It is not going to change. It is probably only going to get worse. We have to help the dogs get over these problems. And if we don't, they're not just going to magically go away.
Good old saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Exactly.
So on that note, I think, Fernando, you have a nice little rescue story to tell us.
Ooh, actually, I do. And this one is a little personal because I know the owner and the dog that we're going to talk about very, very well, and actually so does Jeff.
Very good friend of ours.
You may have heard of him because he is famous now. It is Daniel the Miracle Dog. Now, for those of you who don't know, I promise you just go Google Daniel the Miracle Dog and you will find a lot of information on him. He has travels with an entourage. He's been interviewed globally. This is a pretty amazing dog. The quick story is he was in a kill shelter down, I think, somewhere in maybe Alabama, or I think it was Alabama, and he was scheduled to be euthanized with a group of dogs. I think like 12 dogs. They put him into the gas chamber. That's how they euthanize them, by gassing them. Closed the door, threw the gas in, and the attendant came to clean up the mess. Opened the door, all the dogs are dead, except for Daniel, who's somehow survived the gas and is pretty happy. And the attendant, thank God, said, you know what, this is something special, I can't re-gas this dog. Took him out and then started spreading the word. And Daniel's story is just an example of how rescue people across the country collaborated. So that person made a call, who made a call to another person, who made a call to another person, who made a call to another person. Then the great folks up here in New Jersey from 11th Hour Rescue got wind of the story, immediately went into action, got the Pilots for Paws program, which is amazing. These people who volunteer their time to fly animals in need, different places, went down, flew him back up here, and he was now adopted by our friend Joe Dwyer, who's a great dog trainer in his own right. And he has another famous dog, Shelby, but I'm not going to get started on him. He's got like celebrity dogs. But now, they went to Pennsylvania and they've gotten the legislation in order to ban the gas chamber there. He's actually on his way to Michigan in a week to do the same thing in Michigan. There's having a big rally there. So do me a favor, go check out, I think it's danielthebeagle.com. I'll have a note, the link for that below this video. And you can just go in, check out his story. He's also up for a Hero Award, Hero Dog Award. So do me a favor, go vote for him because we want to get his story really out there. But it's just a great story of this dog who defied the odds and now is doing so much good with taking his message on the road.
Absolutely, his story is going to save the lives of so many dogs, or at the minimum, it will promote more humane euthanasia if that's needed in a particular region of the country. And when you go vote, you can vote every day.
Yes,
so
and
vote
do so.
every
We got to
day.
get this guy to win.
Yes,
we want this little beagle to win because his message is too important. So that's it. Now we're ready to take some questions, and we finally narrowed it down to 60 seconds, I think. 30 seconds was a little obnoxious. I don't think anybody could take us trying to talk that fast. So we got it to 60 seconds. So we're going to do 2 questions. I forget, who's going first?
I think I am.
You're going
I'm
first.
going
Good.
first.
All right.
Okay. This is from Gus via Facebook. Oh boy, this is a tough one. How do you deal with the death of your pet?
And go!
Okay. We're probably going to have a whole show on this, but the bottom line is this is just my opinion, and I've been through this a lot of times with my own personal pets, and I help others get through this as well. There's no right or wrong way. Okay, I believe everybody grieves in his or her own way. Okay, and however you need to grieve is how you need to grieve. I can tell you some of the things that I do to deal with loss. First and foremost, if you know that the time is coming, there's things you can do. Spend a little more time with your dog. Give your dog a few extra treats or a few extra walks. Things like that can help because knowing you did that prior to the loss.
20 seconds left.
Oh gosh. Doing that prior to the loss will help you recover from the loss. Once your pet does pass away, what I like to do, I like to write a lot. I'll write poems, I'll write letters to my dogs, I'll create little memorials using PowerPoint or little videos and stuff like that. But it's never easy, and remember, there's no right or wrong way.
Bang, time. You did that perfectly. I felt bad, kind of rushed him and enjoying the time that he's going to be cut off because he's talking about something so
Well,
important.
it's a good thing because I was going to start crying. I was thinking of all the pets I lost, and I was like, uh-oh.
And that's funny because Joe Dwyer, who I just mentioned, who's now Daniel's new human, is a pet bereavement counselor, and we may have him on the show to talk about that because that's a very important topic.
It is. It impacts all of us, you know. So, my turn. Well, my turn at the time. Your turn to get the question.
Okay, the next question we got here, well, actually, this is actually a series of questions that we got. We put out a question on our Facebook page to ask what's on your guys' mind, and everyone came back with excessive barking.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean,
responses.
apparently, surprisingly, dogs bark. So I'm ready anytime you are.
Okay, ready and go.
Okay, yes, dogs bark. They bark because that's what they do. Don't be surprised by it, but we need to figure out why they're barking and then try to address it. So there's a lot of different kinds of barking. Barking out the window, barking at you, barking because they're anxious. When you want to find out what is the cause of their barking so we know how to treat it. Or if they're just barking at you because you're sitting down reading a book, they're probably yelling at you for attention. Now, if I then give them attention, I am rewarding the barking, and I've had a lot of clients who have been rewarding this excessive barking, which they can't stand. So you want to make sure you're not inadvertently rewarding this barking by giving a reward for it. That's if they're barking to you.
30
now,
seconds.
if they're reacting at something out the window, dogs who have access to the front window, it's a lose-lose. You cannot control that situation. Every time that someone walks or a dog walks in front of your house, the dog barks, the dog walks away, or the person walks away, the dog says, hey, I did that. I'm going to do it again tomorrow.
10 seconds.
It's rewarded every single time that person goes by. So you got to do that. You got to manage it. You got to take rid of the access to the window because you're never going to treat that.
Not bad. 1 minute and 5 seconds.
I could have went on more too. I really
A
had
minute
to
and
stop.
5. We should have a whole show on barking.
I think we will because that was a lot of people have that question and there's a lot to go in there.
And there's like you said, there's so many different reasons and scenarios why and when dogs bark. We might just do a whole episode on barking alone.
Yeah, I mean that's probably one of the most common like annoying questions. A lot of people, it's annoying enough to drive you crazy, but not annoying enough for you to go seek help. Maybe to pay for a trainer to come out. So maybe we could give you some guidance in a future episode.
Sure.
That's it. We did it.
Not bad. Not
Yeah,
bad.
I know. I'm a little tired after that 60 seconds.
Seriously, you worked out a little sweat. So our next episode, we are going to be going over some training tools because there are a lot of training tools out there. So we figured that would be a good episode just to show some different training tools and why they're used. Maybe offer our opinions on them because, as you may or may not know, many training tools are very controversial, and we just want to offer some insight on some training tools and how they're used and whether or not they're appropriate for you. So,
We'll find out.
see you next time.
Bye.